Hi, and welcome to Fan Talk. I'm Simon.
I'm David.
And today we're going to be talking about a movie, Crawl, that's been out for a few weeks now and has been doing fairly well for, the type of movie it is during the middle of summer. Dave here has seen it and going to be filling me in on it a little bit before I have a chance to get caught up here pretty soon. But tell us what you thought.
Well, yeah, we've been talking about it for a little while, and I finally got a chance to go and see it. And I enjoyed it a lot, actually. I thought it was a very good movie. It had Kaya Scalero, if I said that correctly, in it, and Barry Pepper are the big main actors in the film. And one of the questions that we had talked about was how much CGI was actually in the film based on the amount of money spent on the film.
$13.5 million budget would indicate that very little CGI typically.
Typically, but actually all the alligators were actually CGI. There was no live alligators used, like footage, and very little animatronics. Supposedly there was a tail used to do some water movement, a couple of foam heads, and some baby alligators, but other than that, all the alligators in the film were actually CGI. But as far as the genre goes, it was kind of a disaster movie with a little bit of horror wrapped in, because the alligators added the horror aspect, but it truly was a disaster movie.
Jump in. So disaster movie. Which disaster?
Hurricane.
Okay. And where does this take place?
Florida.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it was actually, there's a lot of things about it that kind of made me chuckle. Like the very beginning, spoilers. The daughter's a professional swimmer, so it shows her on the board that's showing that she, setting up the fact that she's a strong swimmer because she's going to need to be, and she's got Florida Gators cap on because I guess she's going to Florida, the college. So it's kind of funny. There's a lot of stuff setting it up, but it's based out of Florida. There's a big hurricane coming.
Now, are these gators not crocodiles? Gators, right? Yeah. Are they normal gators, or are they are they mad like the snakes on a plane, like mad snakes?
No, actually, honestly, I would say the movie, for what it is, it was done very well. There is a little bit of, my one complaint about the whole film would be I could see how there could be, like, the movie starts off when she goes to find her dad because her sister calls her and her dad's not answering the phone and they're all kind of estranged. So she feels guilty. So she goes to find her dad. And he ends up being injured in the basement of this old house close to the swamp. Mm-hmm. And so she goes down there. He's already been bit, and so she's trying to drag him out, and gets the entry or the exit from the basement gets blocked off by this large alligator. And so that's the beginning of it, and you're kind of like, okay, I can buy the alligator in the basement thing. They kind of set up how it happens and everything as the film progresses. But where it gets a little campy is it's not just one, and not even two. At one point, you're like, oh, there's two, but then it's like, oh no, there's just a bang load of alligators that all just want to eat people. That's where it was a little bit like, oh, maybe could have stepped it back a little bit and just stuck with like the two alligators eating everybody. But that aside, it was fun. It was a lot of fun to watch. A lot of just boom, like kind of startling you scares.
Jump scares.
Because alligators are, they're an apex predator, but they're also one of those animals that like to surprise their prey. So there was a lot of that just bam, jump out and startle you kind of stuff, which I enjoy. It's fun. And but the movie, I've heard some people, it's predictable. It was a little over the top. Horror movies tend to be.
Otherwise they're not as entertaining.
But the acting was very, very good. The alligators, the CGI for the movie being as inexpensive as it was, I was really impressed. I actually enjoyed it.
I was kind of thinking it came from one of the producers of Sam Raimi, and he came from a background of very low budget horror movies. Obviously, the Evil Dead series being one of the lowest budget of all time. So he knows a thing or two about making things at a good cost.
Yeah, but the movie, if you like horror movies, especially if you like, Jaws and Deep Blue Sea, these kinds of films, you're going to enjoy this movie. The acting is better than a lot of those films. And
it's rated R, so obviously horror movie rated R goes hand in hand, but what makes it rated R?
There's
language, gore.
There's not a lot of language, just a little bit, but it's mainly just
gratuitous nudity.
No nudity. It's just a lot of violence.
Okay.
Alligators ripping people to pieces.
That would get you.
That'll get you the R. And it's a lot of it's kind of over the top because unlike a shark, bites you and you're like bit in half and you're dead,
Yeah.
But alligators, they tend to bite and tear and they do that death roll, and there was some of that in the film. So like whenever people are getting mauled by alligators, it's pretty grotesque,
Okay.
which I also enjoyed. I mean, it was fun for me. So I mean, I would say this: if you like these types of movies, Crawl is going to impress. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to leave the theater with a couple of laughs and overall enjoying yourself. Again, take it for what it is. But as far as the horror movies I've seen this summer, I would give this one, the most stars. I give it 4 out of 5 stars for a horror movie in the summer.
Okay.
I mean,
It's done all right for it.
tops out what other things I've seen this summer in that horror genre. Again, it's also kind of like a disaster movie, which is nice. And I mean, even Rotten Tomatoes, I think, gave it like an 83%. So
Yeah. So it's got some people I think like it will, people that like this type of thing will end up liking it.
Yeah.
It's not they'll be disappointed. It's been out 19 days. It's made just a shy end of 50 million off of a $13.5 million budget. Depending on how much they put into the promotion of this film, which really wasn't much. They didn't even have a press screening before.
No.
And I think they might have left some money on the table given the success level it has had. So there's a good chance that it's made some money by this point, and it hasn't even finished its run yet. And we haven't even gotten to DVD sales, which where horror movies historically do fairly well.
Fairly well, yeah. I would like to say this. I kind of hope that this movie stays where it's at. I hope it's not one of those where all of a sudden we're seeing Crawl 2, Crawl 3. Yeah, it's like, leave it lie. Just let this be a standalone horror film. And I think it could end up being one of those really good ones. So.
Okay. Well, on these kind of things, rather than do like direct sequels, I'm more of a happier they like, okay, well, here's the same production team and same writers back in place, and even same actors too. But we're going to make a similar genre and just make it, make up another new movie.
Yeah.
Like, so next time, have a blizzard and, vultures or I don't know, something different.
What? I wouldn't watch that movie.
Probably not. You know what I mean? Like, they can take the same kind of formula, like, disaster and or wild animal and throw them together.
Yeah, throw it together and make the disaster movies not so, one-sided. I mean, yeah, because like in this film, the fear is the alligators, obviously, but they're trapped in this basement and it's raining and the water's rising. So if they don't get out, they're going to drown.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then even if they get out, they still have to contend with the storm. So
which in Category 5 is deadly.
Yeah, so there was kind of different things going on there, and I think it kind of reaches that point too where people take a lot of these things for granted. Like, I mean, I don't know how many years I see there's a hurricane in Florida, and I don't live in Florida, so I don't know. But I do know that you always see those people that stay behind. They think they can rough the storm, and then there's always these, first responders that have to go in and rescue these people from their roofs because everybody just thinks it's going to be okay.
Or it's not going to be as bad as they think.
Yeah, and we have the same thing here in Oklahoma because we have tornadoes, and so people that are like, hey, go to safety, and people are like, it's no big deal. And then their house gets destroyed and somebody gets hurt, so it's like I think it kind of reaches that aspect too. If there's a lot of people out there that just think, it's no big deal, and things can get really bad really fast. So
okay, well, I'm looking forward to checking this one out myself, and thanks for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.
Take it easy.